Okay, it's morning time, and we've just finished feeding my comrades, and I'm gonna bring a dog out here. It's a new boy here that just came in. I took a video of him earlier in the week because he came for biting people. I think the most horrific dogs that have a really bad life are those dogs that bite people, because you can keep your dog away from other dogs, but not people. Inevitably, it's going to happen. And so when you're dealing with dogs that have people aggression, you got to be as sober as the judge to make this thing happen. And so this morning, I want to talk about some things. There's a lot of things to talk about. First, I want to say rest in peace, Jura. Jura is a German Shepherd that was at my facility years ago, not this one, but the one prior to this place here. And when she first came to me, and there's a video on my YouTube where I introduced her to a horse. I used to bring my horses here at one time, and I would introduce the dogs to them at the facility. But Jura's owner is, I talked to her last week, and this week she's decided that she's going to put her down. And I've just been waiting to hear what she has decided to do, because I wanted to talk to her. What's going on here? There's always something going down behind my back, around the corner. That's just the way it is. But she's decided to put her down. Now, I want to say some things to not just her, but to anyone who has dogs. There is a method to everything I say. It revolves around the experiences that I've had in my life and the dogs that have entered into my life that I consider to be magnificent creatures. I mean, dogs that I have learned so much from, that if I could thank them 1,000 times a day, it would never be enough for what they have taught me. My gosh, man, I just can't, I don't know where to begin to say it. And so when we have dogs that are in our lives that make us feel this unconditional love, there's a reason for that. I believe that dogs are brought, or animals, period, are in this world for human beings to learn from. We've got a very short period of time with them, and that time that they are here is to teach us something. The question is, are we learning? Are we learning from our dogs? I always say that they are a roadmap for the human being back to nature. But most people don't see it that way. We think of them as something here to satisfy us. And in satisfying us, when they leave us, you'll hear people say, oh, I don't know if I could get another dog now. It just hurt my heart that she passed away. I get that. But what's the purpose here? If you don't have a purpose with your dog, then you're going to think like that. But if you have a purpose, you're going to learn everything that you can learn from them to help you move on, so that you can take that knowledge with you with the next dog that you get. I tell people, get another dog. What did you learn from your dog that's going to help you to make a better life for this new dog? That's what we have to do. Just like having kids. What are you having kids for? Oh, I'm just having kids. You got pregnant, you have a kid. What's the purpose? What can you offer them? What do you want for your child to grow up to become? You know, a lot of times you miss that because we don't know how to think about things like that. We get caught up in the emotional aspect of just having a dog. Why? Can you learn something from them? Can they make you a better human being? I've always said if I could thank them 1,000 times a day, it would never be enough for what they have taught me. And so I know in the beginning when my dogs passed, and I felt like they left me. And you get that feeling, okay, what am I doing here? All of my guys are gone, blah, blah, blah. And then they leave, and then you realize, oh my gosh, all of the information that I have learned from these wonderful creatures, I can now take and give it to another dog. I can do it better than I have ever done in the past because I know more now. So the dogs that come into me now have a wonderful time because I know more. And there's nothing better than knowledge, man. I mean, love will get a dog into your home. Love will allow for you to adopt them from the shelter. But love can't keep them there. It's going to take knowledge. Knowledge, man. Understanding of what it is that you must do. Understanding how nature intended this animal to process communication and then to give it to them. So when your dog passes, and let me say this because I got to bring it all in. Everything I say has a purpose. Nature has given animals a bottom and a top. And that means that the dogs that are on our watch and those animals that are living in the Serengeti have been given a bottom and a top. They're never going to be more than what nature intended for them to be. They were here before you and I were born. They're going to be here when we leave. And they're never going to be more than what they are, just beautiful creatures living on the Serengeti plain, examples for us to live our life by because we don't have a top. We have a bottom. We can think and do and be whatever we want. They are here for us to learn from, to enhance our lives, and to make a better person of us. That's why animals are here, for us to study. They taught us how to live. I've said many times, I don't think if we hadn't brought the dog out of the wolf, that the human being could have survived. We were not capable. It's the frontal lobe, it's our mind that gives us what we are today. But in understanding that, we think that animals have a bottom, but no top. I mean, we know that they don't, but we think that they do. We act with them as though they do. And so we expect for them to think like us. No, dogs expect for us to think like them, and human beings expect for dogs to understand why we do what we do. And that's the problem that we have today with animals. It is not possible for them to do that. And so, in thinking like them, we have to understand how nature created them. Look, I want anybody that's listening to this to look up some words because they're very important words. Compulsiveness. What is a compulsive creature? What do I mean by a genetic predisposition to be like this or like that? Genetically, meaning you can't do anything about it. When we understand that this is how nature wired animals, then we can look at them from that perspective. And in seeing them, being a realist, and seeing them from that perspective, we can deal with them. We can learn from them. But there is a method to the madness. There's a method. There's a method to why I do what I do. When you look at my videos, you're looking at Rehabilitation 101. That's it. The elementary level. But you may think that you're looking at a higher level of training or schooling. That is not it. This is Rehabilitation 101. What is that? Socialization. Just socialization, man. That's all this is. You don't even get a chance to see the advancedness of rehabilitation, because when you see it, you don't even understand that you're there because of the way we've been taught to think. We think that training, sit, stay, come, heel, down, all this stuff means something. This is nothing, man. This is just human beings trying to physically control a dog that is compulsively and mentally challenged by nature to be and do a certain thing a certain way. That's it. But they're more than that. You know, let me talk about something. I was going to wait for my show, but I mean, it's all a show. So I can talk about it now and I'll talk about it then when we do it. Look, what you see me do here with these dogs and putting them together, as I say, is training. I mean, it's rehabilitation one-on-one. I am preparing these dogs for something. I never talk about this, but I'm actually preparing them for the life that they're going to be living. You hear this noise in the back? That's nature telling them to do that. I'm taking that sound that you hear and using it to get what I want from them. I'm allowing for them to be what nature has intended for them to be, but yet I am preparing them to live in a world that we have created for them that is not the way nature intended for them to live. We think because they have been pulled from the wolf and they have been domesticated, that they are now fixed and that we don't need to understand that side of them that revolves around aggression. And if you feel that way, then when your dog becomes aggressive, you don't know what to do. Because you say, why are they like that? That's the way nature made them. We must talk to them from that perspective first. Then we can do the domesticated things. But even with understanding that, we have to understand our part in participating to create the aggression. And that is with the things that we do with them, the toys, even the play. What we consider here to be play, you'll see me with dogs and you'll see them acting assertive, dominant, even aggressive, and I'm allowing for them to do that. There's a method to that madness. I'm only allowing that to take place for a certain period of time. I'm trying to get the dogs to a certain point in their life so that we can make that transition. But if you don't know about the transitional states that dogs go through, just like the transitional state that teenagers and adolescents go through, you're going to miss the mark. Do you know it takes really 1 year to really work with a dog? 1 year. And that's for it to go through its adolescent phase. I call it the teenage phase. Up until 1.5 to 2 years, you hear about dogs having problems within that time. That's the teenage year. Those are the ones when they're changing to become an adult. Teenagers do the same thing. So when you see these dogs out roughhousing, let me show you these guys right here. Let's get a little closer. You see them playing, roughhousing. We call it play. But as I've said many times, play is just two dogs trying to determine who is more dominant than the other without actually fighting. It's a mock fight. That's all it is. My gosh, it's such a beautiful thing when you can see the future. As I say, I'm reading from a later page. You can't hear me at your stage. And so I do these videos. It's time now to start doing some different types of videos to explain a little more. I can't give it all to you. It's so overwhelming. I would be here all day, all night, for the next 30 years to be able to explain it all to you. But look, let me just give you what you could see right here. Once these dogs reach a certain stage, a certain level of understanding, this concept of what we consider to be play or challenging each other, it comes to a halt. And this is what it looks like. If you watch my videos, you'll see certain dogs, you never really see them playing that kind of thing. You never see them challenging each other, unless it's something serious. So when you see them sparring with each other, understand that it is not play as we think. It's just two dogs trying to figure out who's more dominant than the other rather than fighting. And sometimes at the split moment, when they have a difficulty trying to figure out who is more dominant than the other, then you will see the fight. And baby, if you haven't been in a dog fight, a real dog fight with powerful dogs, it is horrific. And if you're not in good physical condition when you're trying to work with these types of dogs, okay, and you're trying to work with them physically, not mentally, then I've seen some of the baddest, strongest guys get out of this business because of a dog fight, a simple dog fight. It's horrific. To be bitten, to be mauled, accidentally or on purpose, being bit is a horrific thing. 1,500 pounds of pressure coming down on your bones, crashing you, will make you change your profession. You got to have a better and more thorough way of understanding and looking at things. You better be a realist when you're dealing with these animals. Because when they start fighting, reality sets in, and the wild, you see it, man. You see what wildness means. And it's not pretty. It's frightening. You'll go to bed having nightmares thinking about this thing. So when I tell you something, count on it. You can't put this many dogs together and not learn something. You think I haven't seen fights? I've seen some of the most nightmarish fights that you can imagine. I'm serious. People get out of the business, don't want to deal with dogs anymore because they weren't real, or they couldn't accept what was real and deal with it. I could just go on and on, but I just want to say, when you see these guys acting like this, you may have heard me say many times, I'm producing a problem that I have the answers to. I create the problem. When you see these dogs running around growling and making noises, I'm producing that problem because I'm preparing them for this phase where they not want to do it anymore. They're not even interested in it anymore. It's not important. What's important is being around me, but I got to carry them through that teenage stage. If they didn't get it, you got to do rehabilitation. Do you understand? And that's what this is. This is rehabilitation. A lot of people say, I want to see you do what you do. And then I show them, and they say, but we didn't see it. Because it's not about what I do. It's about being. I'm doing it right now. While I'm talking, you see the results of the rehabilitation. These guys are around me. They're in their safe positions. You'll see the knuckleheads doing their thing because they're still in that transitional period. And that's okay. I'm watching them. We call them the knuckleheads. But when the end result is there, this is what it looks like. Calm, cool, and collected. That's all they want to do. Just like they always want to play rough, this is what they end up wanting to do. Always want to do this. This is an adult dog. These are adult dogs now. You see? So when you see all this stuff, I'm creating this problem because I'm preparing them for a stage in their life where they're going to go into the world and be a member of society. Even though these guys that I rescued may not ever live that life again because they're here because I saved their lives so that they can help me to work with other dogs that are going to be living that life. You see? Even though they're not going to live that life, I am still preparing them for that life. You know, there's an old saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And these guys stay ready. So when I'm ready to take them out into the world, they're going to be spot on, even though they haven't seen the world. Because what they have learned is what I have imprinted in them. What I have imprinted in them. And this is my purpose for having dogs. Oh my gosh, man. It's so deep. When you have a fight, you have to realize your part in that fight. What did you do? There are so many lessons to learn, but you don't get to learn it unless you have them. And those who have them and get through it, they will be the ones who will receive the victories. And the victory is the understanding of why it took place. Look, when your dogs are sparring, and we're watching them spar, we're thinking, oh, they're having a wonderful time, they're playing, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But never, ever forget what I tell you, that they are trying to determine who is more dominant than the other without actually fighting. And if they have difficulty in figuring that out, they will have that skirmish. They will have that fight, that fever pitch. And then you're going to have to stop it. And you're going to stop it any way you can when it's happening. But how you stop it how you participate in it, that is everything. It is everything. And a lot of times, you've heard me say that you'd never truly know a dog until you see them fight. Oh, that is real. Because you know what you're dealing with. You know whether you have prepared them in advance for the fight. And that's why I say, how do you stop a fight? Is before it ever starts. So when a fight is happening, how we are compulsively influenced by it will determine how it's going to come out. And they can only perceive it from the way they think as a dog. Remember, dogs expect for us to think like them. So if you run in and grab a dog, you'll see it at a dog park. Something's going down. Someone goes and picks up the dog. And then when that dog gets picked up, boom, all the dogs crowd around you, jump up and try to grab the dog and even bite the person. We're doing something that's not normal. We're lifting them off the ground. When we go in and grab them and lift them off the ground, how different is that than when a dog grabs a dog, picks him up and starts shaking him? It's the same thing as far as the dog is perceiving it. So when we grab a dog trying to fix the fight or stop the fight, the other dogs don't think the way we think. They believe that you're joining in, and now you've got mayhem. You've got a pack that's acting like a pack. They're joining in on the weaker one. That's the law, baby. So when you do this physical thing, trying to intercede and stop something, understand that they're perceiving it a different way. We're producing the pack fight. But again, how do we stop a fight? Is before it ever starts, by understanding what it is that you're producing, what it is that you are producing. When we allow for our dogs to do what you see me do on this videos, when we allow our dogs to do that, I am producing a problem that I have the answers to. You're just seeing that side of it. But I'm really teaching them to go to 10 so I can bring them down to 1, rather than trying to stop them before they get to 10. You only see them playing. You don't see the other side. Because even when you see it, you're not going to understand what you're looking at. You'll hear people say, oh, he's got a nice balanced pack of dogs. Well, how did they get that way? Every single dog you see here has came here because they have done something horrific to another dog or a person. Believe me. Except for the puppies. Look. Hey! Talking to the puppy now. Ah! So, look, man. We live with these creatures. They give us unconditional love. We give them unconditional love. But it is more than that. Something that can make you give unconditional love to, don't you want to know everything about them? What makes them tick? I mean, something that can make me feel that way, I want to know everything about it. It's not just a cute thing. This is an animal. And they need a certain thing in life. They need the hierarchy. When you see me allowing my dogs to play like this is for them. But I have a part in this. If I just sit around and let this happen, but I don't insert myself at any time to settle this dispute, this light dispute, let's say, this mock fight, if I don't insert myself in that from time to time, even though it's working like this, there's going to be a problem. I know people say to me, well, Brandon, how long am I going to have to do this? Or why do I have to do that? Look, if you've been living with your dog for 5, 6 years and having aggressive issues with them and haven't been able to solve it, and you come to me and I show you how to solve it, then you turn right around and say, how long am I going to have to do that? If it were me, I would do this forever. If my problem is being solved and all I need to know is what to do, I would do it forever. I would never ask, how long am I going to have to do this? It's a wrap, man. I'm doing it forever. You don't even have to tell me. Or you'll get someone that says, okay, I've done this. What else should I be doing? Keep doing what you're doing. Is it working? Yes. Then why would you even want to know how to do something else? Just keep doing it. But see, this is the way we've been taught. I can tell that when people are training, that's how they talk. Or someone will come to me, they have had the evaluation, and then they come, and they'll say, okay, well, Brandon, you know, I've been busy, and I haven't had a chance to do this, I haven't had a chance to do that, and I'm going to get to it this week. No. You don't have enough knowledge to do that. I can do that. I can decide not to do something and then go back and do it with a dog later. But after I've done it with your dog and I tell you what to do, no, you better get on it like white on rice. Because otherwise, you're in trouble.